Ali Akbar Durrani is a researcher at the Centre for Strategic Studies. He joins us live in Tehran. And Andrea Dessi is an assistant professor in international relations and global politics at the American University of Rome. He's there in the Italian capital. A very warm welcome to both of you, gentlemen. Ali Akbar, I wonder if I could start with you, because we see very much a kind of public push, particularly from Iran's speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, for diplomacy to prevail. Yet the IRGC has now seized these two vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. There are reports of them firing on other vessels. Is there a fundamental split within the Tehran establishment, do you think? A split that at least Donald Trump thinks is there between those pursuing diplomacy and those keen to perhaps escalate the conflict?
Absolutely not. The Iranian leadership is unified. It is misreading of Iran's leadership to assume that the Iranian leadership is seriously fractured. The whole war started on miscalculations, and this is another miscalculation. The Iranian military and Iran's political leaders are unified. They sent very consistent messages. Controlling the Strait of Hormuz does not contradict diplomacy, and it doesn't prevent diplomacy. The United States has to understand that a new regional security order has been established. Iran knows the value of controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Iran allowed unconditional transit through the strait just to be bombed, and that strait and the ships passing through that strait being used to kill nearly 4,000 Iranian people. Iran is not going to allow that anymore, never, ever again. So Iran knows the strategic, economic, security, and political value of the Strait of Hormuz. Iran will allow passage of ships, innocent passage, but not ships that endanger Iran's national security. Iran is ready for negotiations only to end this war of aggression. But Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz will remain forever.
OK, thanks for that. Turning to you, Andrea Dessi, I assume you probably disagree with that evaluation that the Iranian leadership is divided in any way. I want to put this to you because Donald Trump says that there is no time limit on an Iranian response. It's an interesting detail, given that we've had deadline after deadline coming from the Trump administration on what they hope Iran will do. I mean, it's Trump essentially telling the world here that he's waiting for Tehran to figure out exactly who is in charge before he resumes military action, Andrea.
Yes, absolutely. This is the rhetoric coming from the White House, coming from Donald Trump, who seems to be trying to make an argument that the Iranian regime is deeply divided and is not able to form a united or unified decision and proposal for the negotiations. I do believe that there is a series of divisions within the Iranian government and with regards to how to respond. I do, however, also agree that the blockade implemented by Donald Trump and the U.S. administration is a further escalation. And with regards to the future of the Strait of Hormuz, ideally, we should try to return to a status quo ante of how the Strait of Hormuz was governed before this latest conflict, this latest war. This will, of course, be very complicated because for Iran, the Strait of Hormuz is its lifeline, its major leverage, and therefore there will need to be some form of compromise on both sides. So the issue is the lack of trust, the deep lack of trust between the two parties, as well as the rather inconsequential or rather disorderly series of policies and announcements by the Trump administration, which seem to imply that there is not exactly real unity of intent, even within the U.S. administration, with regards to what to do with the Strait of Hormuz and how to exit this crisis.
Ali Akbar, so Andrea says there may not be unity in Iran, but also a lack of unity in the United States as well. Let me ask you about the level of communication that's going on at another level at the moment, because beyond the diplomacy and, of course, beyond all the mutual distrust between the US and Iran, the IRGC has released footage of the seizure of those two vessels. We'll get them on screen now. It's the MSC Francesca and the Epaminondas. I mean, the production value of these videos is pretty high. I mean, it implies a degree, there we go, there's a video on screen for you. It implies a degree of forethought about how this video of Iranian special services, there they are, boarding one of the vessels, how all of this would be seen, not just in Iran, but by international audiences. Ali Akbar, what is being communicated here by the IRGC about their ongoing capabilities, and how does this all feed into hopes of diplomacy?
The message is very clear. Recognize Iran's control of the Strait of Hormuz, because Iran cannot allow passage of ships that kill Iranians. That's the clear message. There is a new security order in this region. The Strait of Hormuz is very much attached to Iran. This is a fact nobody can deny. So the IRGC is establishing this fact and is establishing this new regional security order while being prepared in advance for possible U.S. military escalation in the hours or days to come. Look at, Iran has absolutely no trust in the Trump administration. Look at what Trump says. He vowed that he will not extend the ceasefire. 2 hours later, he unilaterally extended the so-called ceasefire. That is a fractured government, not the vice versa. So Iran is very much determined to hold on to its natural right under international law that allows Iran to prevent ships that are used to wage war. Beyond that, Iran's interest is to keep the Strait of Hormuz open and safe. But as long as this illegitimate blockade continues, there will be no passage.
Let me put that back to
blockade of Iran.
Okay, Ali Akbar. Let me put that back to Andrea. Andrea, Ali Akbar says that Iran has a natural right under international law to the Strait of Hormuz. Your response?
Well, absolutely, in the sense that international law is clear with regards to maritime borders and maritime exclusive navigation zones. Geography is not something that we can change or modify with regards to political expectations. So with regards to international law and geography, Iran does control and have access to a large part of the Strait of Hormuz. And this is one of the reasons why for decades we have had difficult diplomacy and efforts to try and go for a diplomatic agreement with Iran instead of going for the military option, which would have led directly to a blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, which leads directly to a strangling of the global economy. So with this regard, Iran has this leverage of the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone knew about this leverage. The point is that a war was launched, a unilateral war was launched by Israel and the United States against Iran, and this has created the present crisis. My argument would be that for the Strait of Hormuz, we should try to return to the status quo ante and therefore free navigation in the Strait of Hormuz. But this does not imply that we can ignore what has happened since the 28th of February, and therefore there will be a need for a broader diplomatic agreement and a meeting of minds with regards to the big important issues of the war and the nuclear program, the enriched uranium, as well as Iranian foreign policy more in general. This will be the sticking point, and from my perspective, the Strait of Hormuz is such an important issue for the entire international system that hopefully sane minds will prevail and there will be a compromise, because the longer this blockage continues, and I would reiterate that the blockage by the United States, just as much as the blockage by Iran, are both violations of international law. And therefore, as long as this continues, the stakes increase and the impact on the global economy will severely worsen. So everything, I think, is pointing to the need for a compromise. And in this context, we would hope that diplomacy can be run behind closed doors and not on tweets and social media, which usually does not help the process.
All right. Well, look, it's been a pleasure hearing from both of you. Many thanks. Ali Akbar Durrani, researcher at the Centre for Strategic Studies, joining us live in Tehran, and Andrea Dessi, assistant professor in international relations and global politics at the American University of Rome.